Okay. Hey, everybody!
Hello.
Hi! Welcome to Magic Foundation's Power Hour! Hey, everyone, I'm Maria, that's Gavin. We're going to introduce ourselves to you in just a second, but first I want to know who here's a fan of Magic the Gathering? All right, awesome. And who here is one of our new players? Maybe you're curious about Magic, you're not really sure how to play, but you want to come to this and find out a little bit more. Yeah, we got a few people over here. Awesome. Okay. And how about who here is excited to teach their friends Magic or who wants to teach Magic? All right, excellent. We're so excited to have you here today at Foundations Power Hour. We're going to give you a look behind the scenes at Foundations, which is Magic's newest set that's currently out right now. We're going to tell you some behind the scenes stories. We're also going to have a Q&A session, so get your questions ready right now with the final 20 minutes of this program. You can ask Gavin basically anything that you want to know about Magic the Gathering, me anything you want to know about content creation. I bet you have more questions for Gavin, that's totally fine. But just think of them, keep them in your heads. We're also going to be playing a game that does require audience participation. Don't be scared. Okay, great. We've got some cheers coming up later in the show and a chance to win free PAX. Let's hear it for free PAX. Yes, absolutely. Anytime I say free PAX, I want you all to cheer like that. Okay, ready? Free PAX! Okay, great.
That is the correct reaction, by the way.
Yes.
That is the correct reaction.
You are right. But before we get any further in the show, I just want to have us both introduce ourselves to you so you know who's talking at you for the next hour or so. Gavin, tell the fine people who you are.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gavin Verhey. I'm a principal game designer on Magic the Gathering. I've been playing Magic for a very long time, as you'll see right here. This is me when I was a kid, getting into Magic with my brother.
Look at how cute.
I know. Reading the Magic the Gathering novels, as it were. I was probably about 14 in this picture, but I've been playing Magic for 23 years, working on Magic for 13 years, every set since Return to Ravnica. I've led all kinds of cool stuff, from Battle Bond and Mystery Booster to a lot of Commander decks. I just worked on the lead designer on the Final Fantasy set coming out next year, which is really exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. Although I can't tell you anything yet, so don't ask any questions. And then, but yeah, I love Magic so much, and I'm so excited to be here at PAX.
Awesome. So that's Gavin. Give it up for Gavin, everybody. Next up, who the heck am I? Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Bertholdi. I'm a content creator, and I host the Pro Tour, which is where you go and play if you're really good at Magic the Gathering and want to win a lot of money. So that's what I do. I have a podcast called Good Luck High Five, which is a place where if you love Magic and you like to celebrate Magic, we have a new episode every single week. My co-host and I, Megan Wolf, host that show. I also started a Commander show recently, which is the most popular way to play Magic the Gathering, called Commander Arcade. So go on YouTube and smash that subscribe button, okay? Because those are my shows. So that's who I am. That's what I'm doing up here. But we're going to talk about Foundations here today. So Gavin, I want to kind of know the story behind Foundations. It's a unique Magic set. How did it come to be?
Yeah, it's a great question. All right, so for a long time, Magic has had core sets, right? So if you think about the very first Magic set ever, Alpha, that's essentially a core set. And we've done them for a very long time. Did them for years and years and years, all the way up until Magic Origins, when we were like, you know what, no more core sets. We're done with these. And then we didn't do them for a little while, and we kind of found that, well, people want this like staple of reprints. They want a great way to onboard people back into Magic. So let's do them again. And a few years later, in 2019, or 2018, I think actually, we came out with M19. Core sets are back. We did core sets for M19, M20, M21. And then we're like, no one wants core sets anymore. Goodbye core sets. And we got rid of them again.
It's a roller coaster, Gavin.
It's a real core set roller coaster over here. So we're having a core sets for a couple years. And we've noticed a few things. One, there's all these staple reprints that are like building blocks of Magic that we want in Standard that we keep having to like get in the set somewhere. And also, it's been a little harder to onboard new people into the game, right? A lot of folks are coming into Magic, and there should be a great landing place for them. So we talked for a while, and we were like, we should bring something back in the core set space. We should do something new and bring people back in that way. But we want to do it a little differently than we've done it before. And there's this idea that has been kicking around in R&D for decades. And the idea was called the universal base set. This was the idea of what if we had one set that were the building blocks of all of Standard, that were the building blocks of the Magic playing experience. And we had talked about it for ages. We had never actually done it. And we thought, let's give it a roll. Let's give it a try. And so we built Foundations sort of as this universal base set. It'll be legal and standard for a long time. It has all the building blocks you would come to expect from a core set experience, and is a great way for new players to be able to get right into the game. If we go to the next slide here, let's talk about some of the tenets behind building this set. So when we were working on the set, we had an idea, a principle. Lead designer Brian Hawley and many others kind of championed this. They did a great job at it. What if we made a set just called Magic the Gathering? What if the set was just called Magic the Gathering? Now, it of course being ended up called Foundations, but the premise, the core of that, I think is at the core of what makes Foundations so great. It's got all these spells you recognize from Magic history. It has a lot of worlds that you get to go and visit and see. It has characters that you love, and whether you're an experienced player or a brand new player, it feels like kind of the core of Magic the Gathering. And this does it in both reprints and new cards. So let's talk about some reprints here for a second, Maria.
Yes, there's some awesome reprints in Foundations. The first one we want to talk about is none other than fan favorite,
Yes.
Llanowar Elves.
See, that reaction tells me everything that my next point was going to be making, which is, so Llanowar Elf, of course, showed up all the way back in Alpha. It's a card players have fallen in love with over the years. It hasn't been in Standard for a long time. And even though it's just a common, putting it in Foundations has gotten experienced players so excited about the set. But if you're new and you're coming in, you to experience Llanowar Elves for the first time ever, right? You're also getting entranced by Llanowar Elves and falling in love with the card.
Just as exciting.
Just as exciting. And it's not just the commons, of course, all the way up to the mythic rares, like Omniscience right here. This is a card that, if you're an experienced Commander player, you know if your opponent plays this, it is real bad news. You don't want that to happen to you. But if you're brand new to Magic and you're reading it for the first time, you're like, holy smokes, they let me do what on this card? Lets you play any spell I want for free for the rest of the game? It's bananas. And so it kind of hits both sides. New players, experienced players alike, all getting excited about the same set and the same cards.
So that's reprints, but we also have a lot of cool new cards in the set too, Gavin. So talk to me about some of the new cards that you think are pretty flashy and cool.
Yeah, so we have Anthem of Champions appear on the screen. I think it's a great example. So if you're an experienced player, you know this calls back to an older card, Glorious Anthem. And this is the cheapest we've done this effect. 2 mana to give all your creatures +1/+1. And if you're really experienced, you're like, wow, that looks really good and powerful, and I can put it in my green-white deck. It kind of fits green-white's color identity. And if you're new, you look at this and you're just like, well, that's awesome. 2 mana for all my stuff gets +1/+1. I'm also excited about this. You don't know all the history, but you don't need the history to get excited about a card like this one. And I think it's really great, too, that it shows off what green and white love to do, right, which is go wide with creatures and get a lot of them in play. Let's go to the next card here. This is a card I wanted to put on the screen because I love it. I think it shows off another side of Magic that's really important, which is the whimsy and the fun of Magic the Gathering, right? It's not always all serious, stabbing and, lightning bolts. Sometimes they're just cute little rabbits. And this is a rabbit noble, so you see it. It's got a fun name. It's got a pun in the name, which I know you love.
I absolutely love this card, Gavin. I remember when this card was previewed, I had a bunch of people message me and say, oh, can you pick up as many copies as you get at the pre-release, because I'm going to be making a Heir Apparent deck.
Well, and that's exactly right. It puts you on this quest, right? You see this card for the first time, and you're like, I want to go get as many of these as possible and build a deck with them, and it's so exciting. And even for a brand new player or an experienced player, this is a cool.
How many of these should I put in my deck, Gavin?
Is it a 60-card deck or a 100-card deck? The answer is going to be different.
Ooh, 100 cards.
31. That's my professional answer.
31.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
you heard it here.
Yeah. All right, now let's go on to the next slide. I want to talk about the building blocks for a second of what we're doing with Foundation. So it's going to be legal for a long time, and we wanted it to be a great entry point into Magic for people, right? We really wanted to make sure Foundations was a place you could land and get excited about Magic with. But core sets have traditionally had this kind of problem, where to properly teach you, well, we want to put in some really simple cards, right? Just some 4-mana, 4/3 vanillas, your cancels. But for the experienced players in the room, you don't need your 40th copy of Cancel. You don't need your 40th 4/3 vanilla. So we did something that was really smart and really cool that I thought the team came up with, which is we made a product called the Beginner Box, which has all those cards in it that are great for teaching. It has this amazing learn-to-play experience. But those cards, many of those cards don't show up in the play boosters, right? So if you're experienced, you're buying play boosters, you don't have to worry about getting your 100th cancel. But if you're just learning how to play, you get to have that experience for the first time and share the same kind of Magic language that everyone else is sharing and play with those cards.
So we talk about Foundations being a great set to teach people the game, not only with that beginner box that you mentioned, but just being a wonderful jumping off point. It's got something for people who've been playing the game for a long time, like everybody who cheered in here earlier, and it's got a lot of stuff for people who are new to the game as well to love and come into Magic learning to love for the first time. But teaching somebody Magic, that's why I asked you earlier, hey, who here wants to teach their friends Magic? I kind of feel like as a Magic player, at some point in your magical life, you're going to wind up teaching somebody how to play. That's just how we are. We want everyone to be one of us, right? We all know the chant. But how do you teach somebody magic, right? It can be kind of intimidating to sit down and they're like, all right, teach me how to play this game. And you're like, oh, where do I start? Lute here wants to learn how to play, so we're going to teach Lute how to play. Gavin and I have a few top tips for teaching people how to play magic. Here's my first top tip. You see here is a picture. That's me, believe it or not. Oh boy, the side part of the millennial, right on there, on my head. Next to my Magic the Gathering Good Luck High Five co-host, Megan Wolf. This was taken back about 11 years ago when we started our podcast, Good Luck High Five. We actually learned to play Magic at the very same time. So that is my top tip. Number 1, teach 2 people at the same time. If you have one friend to teach the game, guess what? I bet you have another friend to teach the game. It's wonderful because then both people that you're teaching are learning at the same time. They're at the same playing field, right? So it's not just you who have all of the expertise and all of the information and somebody who has none of that, and that imbalance can kind of sometimes be a little bit off-putting to somebody learning the game. Sometimes somebody will have a question that the other person didn't think of, so they learn from each other as they're learning the game, just as we did. And then they can play each other, which I think is so important because they're going to be making the same mistakes. They're going to have some similar and different questions. And sometimes when you're really experienced pro players like I know you all are out there, it might be a little bit difficult to play with somebody who hasn't learned the game yet because you want to play with people who are really good, right? So having 2 people at the same playing field gives them a chance to play each other and just have a great time when they're both on the same level. Megan and I, when we learned the game, we went to some parties, and I have these wonderful memories of us kind of just sitting on the floor at these parties and battling, playing Magic, like unsleeved, on the ground of these parties, and everybody around us is partying and having a great time. But we're having a great time too, and yes, we are very cool. The other benefit you get here by teaching 2 people at the same time is that eventually they will start a Magic the Gathering podcast together. Okay, so here's my second top tip, which is use monocolored decks to teach your friends. Some of you are nodding out there, so you already know this, but it is so important to reinforce. We want to keep things simple at the beginning. You can see here in this slide, these are welcome decks, and we've got these for you that we're giving away for free over at the Magic booth. We're in Hall D, and there's a whole new player experience. So our friends here that cheered earlier, like, I want to learn the game, you can go over to the Magic booth. There's a 3-step experience to teach you how to play Magic, and you get free cards, which is awesome. You can pick up these decks just even if you want to teach your friends. A lot of your local game stores will have these as well. Or you can just build them from cards you have laying around. That's how I learned. My friends just built me a mono red deck from cards that he had lying around in his house, and it was awesome. And that's why, to this day, I still like attacking people. So we can blame him. Yeah, yes. Where are my blue mages at? Say boo. No, red mages.
Go blue.
Yes. Let's split the room.
Ironic,
Gavin.
but true.
Yeah. So monocolored decks is my answer. You can build them yourself or come over to our booth today and get some of them. Just keeping it simple. Simple keywords, first strike, flying, trample. Keep it easy on your friends. Gavin, let's talk about your top tips, though.
I got 2 top tips I just want to cover really fast. The first one is just get people into playing right away. Keep the rules explanation up front small. You talk about how you have 20 life, how you're going to play lands and creatures, but you don't need to go into every single detail of everything, right? I know often if I'm being taught a game and I'm sat down, I have to go through a half hour of rules, your eyes start to glaze over at some point. Just get them into playing, especially with those welcome decks. It's so good to just get you right into a game of Magic. The joke I always say is they don't need to know the upkeep, right? Just like you start explaining the Magic phases, you're like, untap, got it. Let me tell you about upkeep. What does it mean? Nothing. What do you mean? What do you mean it means nothing? Well, yeah, nothing happens in the upkeep. But why does it exist? Well, because of all these other cards. It's like, don't worry about it. Just let's talk about the draw step next, So get only the bare bones of what you need to play. And it goes really well with my second tip, which is
open hands.
Open hands. I often play my first games teaching people with just cards on the table. You don't have to do this. Obviously, one thing that's really important is to know what your friends like and to teach them in a way that will be good for them. But I often like playing open hands, especially if you only have one other person to teach or something. So you can be like, oh, hey, did you know you could do this? Or, hey, watch me do this, because them watching you is also very valuable to learn. So those are a couple of my top tips for teaching Magic.
Yeah, and you talked about this product a little bit earlier, Gavin. This is the beginner box. box, which is really awesome. We mentioned the welcome decks that you can get over in the Magic area. This product is very cool too, which you'll get to see in action if you do walk your way through that How to Learn Magic 3-step experience. It has like a booklet inside that with pre-shuffled decks where you play this card on turn 1, this card on turn 2, this card on turn 3. It walks you through it like you're playing a game for the first time, which is very, very cool as well. Now we're going to do a little game with you all, the first of 2 games that we're going to play here during this panel. This one is the Magic the Gathering Foundation's The New Hotness versus the Inspiration. How does this work, Gavin?
All right, so I'm going to be telling some stories about cards and foundations. And a fun little game you can all play along with is, can you guess where I'm going with the story? So can you guess what card inspired the card that I'm talking about? Now don't shout it out. Put it in your head. Think about it. But maybe some of you will get some of these right. So I think there's some fun stories here and a little mini game you can play along with. So let's put the first card up on the screen.
All right, let's talk about the first card. It's cats, everybody. We have Arabo, the First Fang.
Woo, you gotta love cats. So we've done a lot of research and we've learned, this will probably surprise very few of you, that type-focused decks are one of the most popular things in all of Magic, right? People love goblin decks, elf decks, and so on. We've also learned from Living Lives that cats are one of the most popular things in the world, right? People love cats all around the world, no matter where you go, cats are beloved. And so in our new set, we thought, okay, let's make sure to make kind of a cat reward so we can send on this cat quest to be able to build a cat deck. And so of course we wanted to do that. And to do it, we reached back into the past. We're like, who should it be that's this cat leader? And we came up with Arabo. Now, when I was leading Commander 2017, and I was making the first ever cat deck that had ever existed, we made the face commander of that deck Arabo as well. So it's very cool that even if you're new and you're coming into Magic and you see this, you pick up the card and you're like, oh, okay, cool, it's just a nice little cat, and you do some bit of research and learn that Arabo has this long history. And if you're an experienced player, you're like, oh, I know Arabo. This goes right in my Arabo deck already. So it kind of talks to each other in a really nice way. And I love those kind of reaches back into the past, as you'll see throughout this panel.
Do you have a favorite internet cat, Gavin?
I like the cat that's hanging on, because I feel like that sometimes. You know, I think we can all do that.
Just hang in there.
Yeah, hang in there, cat. Yeah.
Okay, great answer. Great.
Keyboard cat, though, also.
Oh,
it can't be
I
keyboard
love keyboard cat. Well, sadly, we have to move on from cats to angels, which are also very cool. We're going to talk about Herald of Eternal Dawn. This card is awesome, Gavin.
Yeah, so the last one was a bit of like a flavor through line. This one is a mechanical through line. So one thing we did in Foundations was we looked back at cards that we knew excited people in the past. They got people excited for the very first time playing Magic. And some of them we just reprinted whole cloth, like Llanowar Elves and Omniscience, which we talked about earlier. But some of them we're like, what if we did updated versions for today? What if we made them into a little more souped up version from what they used to be? And of course, I know when I was 14 and opening booster packs of Mirrodin, this card, Platinum Angel, blew my mind. You can't lose the game? Are you kidding me? Your opponents can't win the game? This is bananas.
What?
I know. And so we decided, how about we reinvent that in a mono white card? It has flash, it's a little bit bigger, it can come down and surprise your opponents a little bit. But it was fun to take this old card idea and make it into a new design that could excite brand new players who've never seen Platinum Angel. It's still exciting for the first time. Or if you've loved Platinum Angel the first time, well, now you have a second one you can go and use.
All right, awesome story. This next one is a little bit trickier. So if you played Magic for a long time, maybe those first 2 are pretty easy. This next one, Zul Asher Lich Lord. Tell me the story here, Gavin.
Yeah, this one is a lot trickier. So one thing I love in Magic is when it feels like this living, breathing world. You know, our game's been around for a long time, so it has a lot of history and stuff nestled in the back. Now, we like a lot, we don't want to put that up front necessarily for someone who's brand new, but we like a little Easter egg for people who've been experiencing Magic for a long time. And so Zul Asher, it's like that name, it just really sounds familiar. You know, there's something about it in the back of your head if you've been playing for a while. Now, if you're new and you see this card, you're like, oh, that's a cool zombie lord. I don't know, I want to go build a zombie deck. You don't have to know anything. But if you're a keen-eyed reader, you might know that about a decade ago, let's go to the next thing here, we introduced this character in flavor text, specifically on like zombie and undead cards. So Zul Asher has been here the whole time on Magic cards. We've never had a card for them. There's only, I think, 10 or so cards with Zul Asher in the flavor text. But it's a very cool little nod at the history that Magic has. And I love that little Easter egg in there. Once again, you don't have to know it, but it's a fun thing for us to pull back from the past into turn.
Yeah, that's such a cool story, Gavin. This next one, though, might be my favorite story. This is one of my favorite card arts from the new set. I'm a big squirrel fan, preposterous proportions. Talk to me about the inspiration here.
All right, so of course, who loves big creatures? Yeah, big creatures? Yeah, you gotta love big creatures. We know people like making their creatures
Nobody
big.
who's a blue mage can say yes to that. Come on.
We know players love when their creatures get big and burly and ready to tangle, so we made one of the ultimate your creatures get huge cards in this set with preposterous proportions. Now this has a couple Easter eggs built into it. The first one is there's a bunch of squirrels in the artwork here, which calls back to Might of Oaks, a card all the way back from Urza Block, a card that I saw when I was young and blew my mind. 4 mana for +7/+7. Well, now you can do 7 mana for +10/+10 to all your creatures, so pretty exciting stuff. But I love that callback of, hey, you know what was funny back then? A gigantic squirrel? Well, still funny today.
Yes, absolutely. And there's another fun story here, too,
Yeah.
that has to do with a card from a long time ago.
Yes, this is one of my favorite Magic stories. Anyone out there know this story? Okay, maybe all right, about 10 people or so. It's pretty impressive. So here's Hypothemius Lemur. What is going on here? Well, so back in the Ice Age, things were a little less refined than they are today. And the process was artists just took names of cards and then drew them and sent them back. So one such card they took to draw was Hypothemius Lemur. And they saw it, and if you have never played Dungeons & Dragons, the Lemur is a evil spirit, right? It's like a dark evil spirit. But they thought it was a typo, and they meant lemur. So instead, the artist drew a lemur and sent it back for this black card. They then look like, hey, it's not really what we're thinking. They're like, well, we'll draw some wings on it. It'll be fine. So, so they
That's
made
a
this card.
solution to a lot of things, I think.
Hypothemius lemur. So it's a fun little gag in Magic. Well, many years later, in Time Spiral, which of course referenced Magic's history, we made this card, Viscid Lemurs, which finally shows them as the evil spirit they're meant to be, and even the flavor text from Norn the Wary calls out that, oh yeah, lemurs, there's nothing to worry about, they're so cute. We then follow this up with the reprint of Hypothemius Lemur, which finally gets it correct after all these years. And then after this whole long story arc in Magic, this thing that started back in Ice Age, back in the early 90s, we have the Booster Fun version of this card in this set, Preposterous Proportions, which shows gigantic lemurs wreaking havoc on people, right? And the flavor text even gets at the magic. We all have the magic flavor. It's like, actually,
Yeah.
nope, turns out they are just lemurs and they're gigantic. So once again, if you are new, you're like, you know what's funny? A bunch of giant lemurs? But if you've been following Magic for, 30 years, you get this nice little Easter egg, which is kind of a great place I love for stuff to be.
Yeah, I love that story, Gavin, and such a cool way to celebrate people who've been playing the game for a long time. And just a little wink and a nod in the set, those giant lemurs on the Booster Fun version. Let's take a look at this next card. I love this card. A lot of people opened this in our sealed event yesterday. Bloodthirsty Conqueror.
Yeah, now this one, okay, this is not as obscure as the lemurs, perhaps. This Bloodthirsty Conqueror, we thought, what if we made some new versions of creatures that called back to old enchantments or spells that players really liked? So I'm sure you all have, at some point, or many of you have at some point encountered Sanguine Bond, this powerhouse. And one thing we wanted to do was, if you've played enough Commander, at some point someone has infinite comboed you with Sanguine Bond, letting you, because if you have Sanguine Bond in play, and you have a card that says when you gain life, they take a damage, it goes infinite. We're like, what if we seeded that into the set so new players could also have that experience of building that infinite combo for the first time? So we put this card, Marauding Blight Priest, in the set as well. So you could occasionally make that combo happen and inspire a bunch of brand new people of like, oh wow, Magic has so much to do. You can combine these two cards and kill them immediately. It doesn't happen that often, although as we learned yesterday in our event in Two-Headed Giant, happens a lot more often.
Happens much more often.
So if you're playing in our events this weekend, Two-Headed Giant, and you open this combo,
do this.
I recommend playing it.
Yeah.
There's our tip. There's me and Maria's tip for you.
All right, let's talk about this next one, Leyline Axe.
Yeah, okay, so all the way back in Guild Pact, we did something new. These were these enchantments that could start the game on the battlefield if they were in your hand. We did them, and people fell in love. They were like, this is such a cool and novel idea. We did several of them. Probably the most iconic of them is Leyline of the Void, which we'll put up here on the screen, and these were called Leylines. We then repeated them in a core set. We did them recently in Duskmourn. There's a one-off in Murders at Karlov Manor. And we thought, okay, let's do this Leyline thing. Again, clearly it resonates for people. It's a lot of fun. It's unique. But let's do it in a different way in Foundations, right? It'll still get you excited. We know that Leylines excite people, but we've never done a Leyline equipment before. And also, by having an equip cost, it means that, yes, it comes into play on the first turn, but it still takes a little bit of time to get going. So we tried it out in an equipment form. This card has been a big hit. It smashed my face in a number of times now.
Absolutely.
And it's a cool little take on the Leyline mechanic. So a little throwback.
Next up, we're going to talk about a new land that we have in this set. I love this land, Soulstone Sanctuary.
Yeah, and this actually references a couple of older cards. So this is a creature land. Now, creature lands have been around in Magic for a while, and they have become staples both sometimes in control decks to finish the game, in more aggressive decks to make sure they can take your opponent down. And we wanted to release a new one out here in a kind of in the Foundation's environment, so that even new players could understand the criticalness of these cards and how useful they can be. And this card is a card I expect to see standard play over the next several years. And it references kind of two previous cards on it: Mutavault, which of course is a land that gets all creature types, and the original creature land, Stalking Stones, all the way back from Tempest. This was very played back in the day. And this kind of puts these two things together in a more modern-day shape, only 4 mana to activate, and is a fun little nod to Magic's long history with these creature lands.
Yeah, this is awesome. Very cool look at the stories through Foundations Past, everybody. Now we are going to move on to the next portion of our show, which is Flavor Text Match Game. Who here knows the 70s game show Match Game? All right, some old people in the audience. Well, we're going to play that today with some flavor text, but I'm going to need your all help. So I'm going to ask you, if you want to play this game and win some packs, to line up at the 2 microphones that we have here in the aisles, because you're going to get a chance to win some free packs here and play Match Game against Gavin. Yes, come on down, everybody. Let's get some come on down music for our friends if we can.
There we go.
Yes, yeah. Please, line up at the microphones. Great.
Who doesn't want free packs, too? Free
packs? Free packs.
There we go. That's the reaction. Free packs.
I said it, free packs. All right, first person. Oh, you play for 3 weeks? That's okay. You can still play this game. It's fine.
Maria, tell us how this is going to work.
Yes, I'm going to tell you how this is going to work. Everybody who's first in line, come and get a whiteboard. There should be one on the other side there for you. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to put up a card onto the screen, which has some flavor text on it. However, one or more words of that flavor text is going to be blacked out. And you're going to have to guess what that word is, okay? If you're right, you get a pack. If you match Gavin, you get a pack. And just for playing, you get a pack. So you can earn up to 2 packs here in this game. Let's take a look at our first card that we're going to try and figure out this flavor text here. We have Sire of 7 Deaths. I love this card. The flavor text reads, "Born of the infinite void between realities, the Eldrazi have one goal, to blank." Fill in the blank. What do you think it is? Born of the infinite void between realities, the Eldrazi have one goal, to blank. So Gavin is writing his answer up here, and you've written your answers down here on the boards. Now it's time to reveal. Over here, you friend, what's your name?
Ross.
Hi, Ross. What do you think it is?
Exterminate.
Ooh, good guess. Exterminate. How about over here? What have you written down?
To destroy.
To destroy. What's your name?
Autumn.
Hi, Autumn. To destroy, exterminate. Okay, Gavin, critically, what have you written? Let's find out.
I wrote down consume.
Consume. Okay, so neither of you have matched Gavin, but let's see if anybody has gotten it correct. Born of the infinite void between realities, the Eldrazi have one goal, to blank. To consume. Gavin, you get a pack. Great job, Gavin. You've really done it. This is the spirit of the game. You've got one pack
The thing
there.
I think that is critical, you all
Here
know,
you go,
is
friends. Packs for playing. Oh, sorry.
But Maria and I rehearsed the entire panel, except for this part, because obviously I could not know the answers.
Yeah,
I really do not know the answers to these.
You don't know the answers. No, that is very, very true.
So that's just me knowing the Eldrazi and being a little hungry.
Yeah,
So.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, next one up. Let's take a look. This one is one of my favorites. Strix Lookout with the flavor text, wise, watchful, blank. Fill in the blank. What do you think it is? Strix Lookout, wise, watchful, blank. Gavin is taking his time up here to figure out what he wants to write. I'm going to start over here on the left side once again. What's your name, friend?
Hi, I'm Joel.
Hi, Joel. What did you write?
Farsighted.
Farsighted. Great. Yes, he does have some great goggles on. Excellent guess. And a fabulous mustache as well. How about over here? What'd you write?
Hi, I'm Jim. I wrote wary.
Wary. Ooh, I like it. Wise, watchful, wary. That makes sense. Okay. Gavin is...
I'll tell you this is not correct.
Up to the last minute
But
up
as
here.
we all know, the Strix Lookouts are wise, watchful, and wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, let's see if any of our players have gotten it right. Strix Lookout, wise, watchful, and Fashionable. No, sorry, nobody gets 2 packs, but you both get 1 for playing. Thank you so much. Ooh, good almost catch here. Here you go, friend. Take your packs. All right, let's take a look at our next card here that we're going to play with. Drum roll, please. Goblin Borders. Split the blank and split the spoils. This is said by Breach's munitions master. Split the blank and split the blank. Split the spoils. Only 1 blank to fill in there. All right, do we think we know what it is? Okay, we're still writing over here, still writing. Love your hoodie. Beautiful. Love this jacket over here, too. Speaking of fashionable, 2 people very fashionable here at the front. Yes. All right, friend, what's your name and what have you written?
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I was kind of confused, but I wrote Brig.
Brig, split the brig and split the spoils. Okay, good guess, good guess. How about over here? What have you written and what is your name?
Hey, I'm Jared, and I wrote sails.
Sails. Ooh, some more alliteration. Split the sails and split the spoils. Gavin, what do you think it is?
I wrote rations. I think I am hungry.
Gavin, I think we need to go to lunch after this. Split the rations and split the sails. Let's reveal the correct answer for Goblin Borders. Split the skulls and split the spoils. Oh, did you get it right? Oh, okay, here's a pack. Good job. I believe you. Look, you can lie to me. You can lie to me. It's fine. I'll believe you. Here, friend, here's your pack for playing. Okay, Gavin, you've gotten 1 right so far. Let's look at the next one. This one is a really cool card, Scrawling Crawler. It spreads the machine gospel of New Phyrexia. Its task incomplete until all surrender to blank. I'll read that again. It spreads the machine gospel of New Phyrexia. Its task incomplete until all surrender to blank. What do we think that is? What are they surrendering to? Friend, what's your name?
I'm Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, nice to meet you.
What are they surrendering to?
I wrote constructs.
Ooh, constructs, great. They're surrendering to that little guy. That makes sense. Okay, how about over here? What's your name, friend?
Brandon.
Brandon, what did you write?
Phyrexia.
Ooh, Phyrexia. Very good. Good guess. Gavin, what have you guessed?
I wrote phyresis,
Ooh.
which is a little fancy, but there we go.
That's a $10 word right there. Phyresis. Let's take a look at the correct answer here for Scrawling Crawler. It spreads the machine gospel of New Phyrexia. Its task incomplete until all surrender to perfection.
I think we should give a pack to the guy that wrote down Phyrexia, though, because I wrote phyresis, Phyrexia. It's close enough, right?
Okay. We'll give you a very close guess here. You get 2 packs. Sorry, everybody, I never played baseball. I played hockey. I'm from Minnesota. All right, let's take a look at the next one that we're going to play here. Refute. Refute, a new card from the set. I said blank. What do you think it is? What is this bird saying?
And it's long. It's not short.
Well, Gavin, I might have been a little tricky. Don't assume by the size of the blank, okay? Come on now. I said blank here with refute. Let's start over here at this side if you are ready. What's your name? What have you written?
Hi, I'm Minerva. I went simple no.
Ooh, I said no. Brilliant. What do we have over here?
My name is Charles, and I also said no.
Ooh, great. Gavin.
I
what
wrote
did
no!
you- All right, are you all 3 right? You are! Yeah!
Wow, amazing.
I tricked you with my long fill-in-the-blank answer. Here you go, friend. 2 packs. Yay! I'm really doing a great job here. And Gavin, you also win 2 packs. So you're the pack leader,
Good.
Gavin.
There should be 3 packs, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So give my packs to these 2 wonderful folks.
Okay, great. Who am I giving your packs to?
Just one to each,
Okay,
Then
yeah.
Get an extra.
Get another pack. Yeah. Gavin is taking his success. Oh, thank you. And passing it out to everybody else. All
Gotta
right,
make sure
next
everyone
in
gets
line.
their free packs, right? There we go.
Free packs! This next one is super hard. Here you go, Minerva. Woo. This one is difficult. Sorry, that one went for a little bit of a ride. Because we've got 2 fill-in-the-blanks here with fleeting flight. So if you get any one of these words right, I'll give it to you. On that fateful day, Sir Brilbury's fear of heights was outmatched by his blank of blank. On that fateful day, Sir Brilbury's fear of heights was outmatched by his blank of blank. What do we think those blanks are? It's a tricky one, but Sir Brilbury might be a sort of a clue, which we'll see if that's helpful or hurtful here in just one moment. His blank of blank. All right, what do we have over here on this side?
Ugh. I said fear and flying.
Ooh, fear of flying. Hey, that's pretty good. Great guess, great guess. How about over here on the right side?
Fear of death.
Ooh, very similar. Great. What have you written down,
I
Gavin?
have fear of falling.
Hey, that's pretty good too. We're all going to be on the flavor text team coming up here. The correct answer is, on that fateful day, Sir Brilbury's fear of heights was outmatched by his sense of duty. That one was a tough one,
was
everyone.
really
I'm
hard.
very sorry, but I wanted to see if we could get close. But fear of falling, of death, of boom. Yeah, we got one. We're all wonderfully creative answers as well. Oop, thank you for playing. All right, let's go to our next one here. We have a couple more. This one, infestation sage. I control the swarm. If you strike me down, there will be nothing left to hold back their blank. I control the swarm. If you strike me down, there will be nothing left to hold back their blank. All right, friend, what's your name and what's your guess?
Hi, I'm Owen. I said hunger.
Hunger, wonderful answer. How about over here? What have we got?
Hi, my name is Matt, and I guessed plague.
Ooh, plague, wonderful. Gavin, what are you guessing?
I wrote malice.
Ooh, malice. Okay, that one's pretty
There's some mean insects.
intense. All right, infestation sage. What is the correct answer? I control the swarm. If you strike me down, there'll be nothing left to hold back their hunger. Yeah, we got it.
I didn't get the
over here.
hunger one?
No, you didn't. What the heck, Gavin? Here you go. 2 packs over here for the correct answer. And one over here. Great answer as well. I'm so bad at throwing. Thanks for playing, everybody. All right, here's the next one that we have for you.
I think there's only like 2 left. Is that right?
This is the last one.
This is the last one. This is it.
And then we're going to have Q&A, everyone. Okay, incinerating blast. I'm going to tell you there's a clue in the art. There's a clue in the art. Most pyromancers could never summon the sheer heat necessary to melt solid rock, but most pyromancers aren't blank. Most pyromancers could never summon the sheer heat necessary to melt solid rock, but most pyromancers aren't blank. All right, friend, what have you written and what's your name?
I'm Lewis. Chandra Nalar.
Chandra Nalar. Fabulous answer. How about over here?
Hi, I'm Connor. I said me.
Great answer. Gavin.
I wrote Chandra.
All right, Chandra. So we have 2 Chandras, 1 this person. Let's find out what's the right answer. Most pyromancers aren't. Chandra Nalar. So that is triple packs over here for our friend. Great job. I'm going to throw 3 packs at your face. 1, 2, 3. Get ready. And I'll throw 1 over here. Oh, wait. I'm giving you 2 because that was really funny. You get a comedy bonus pack. There you go. Everybody, give it up for all of our volunteers who played the match game with us. Now it is time for our Q&A. So any questions that you have for either myself or for Gavin about anything in Magic, come on up to the microphones and make yourselves a little line. And we'll answer some questions here for the last portion of our program.
Yeah, and what I'll say while folks are lining up is, so I, once again, have been at Wizards for 13 years. I've been there since Return to Ravnica. So if it's after that time, I have a better chance of being able to answer your question. And also, I work on design, so the further away you get from design, the less I know the answer to the question. So if it's a design question, good chance I'll know the answer. If it's a question about our arena, I might know it less, and so on and so forth. So I'll do my best. Can't always guarantee something, but I'll do what I can, all right?
Okay, we'll alternate lines back and forth. We'll start over here on the left. What's your question?
Hello. First off, you both are also looking fashionable, so good job.
Thank you. And what's your name, by the way?
Seth.
Seth. All right, nice to meet you, Seth.
Yeah. My question is, I'm pretty much just a limited player, and it's always frustrating when you open a pack that has a rare that's built for constructed, like the ley lines in Duskmourn. What I wanted to ask is how R&D balances that.
Yeah, totally. So when it comes to building sets, there's all kinds of rares you could open up in your booster pack. You could open awesome mythics that are great for limited. You could open constructed cards that are built around. You could open, what was the one in Murders at Karloff Manor, Leyline of the Guild Pact, right? Where you're like, well, I'm not using this in my limited deck at all. But to me, part of the fun of limited is the variance, right? You can have a controlled strategy, but you're never quite sure what is in the pool. And we have talked at various points about, especially when we were doing both draft boosters and set boosters, should we curate the rares in the draft boosters to not have both some of the limited power outliers as well as the cards that are total duds in limited at rare. But after trying it a bit, it just wasn't as fun, right? Knowing everything is regulated is a little less fun than being able to spike an awesome rare or be like, oh man, the Leyline of the Guild Pact again, So we have talked about it, but I think especially now that we have the play booster and everything wants to live in there, it all needs to live in that booster pack, and those cards have to exist somewhere. So yeah, that's kind of the answer to the question. Good question. Thank you very much.
Great question.
Thank you.
I'm also a limited fan, so here I'm going to give you a pack for loving limited. There you go. Maria's discretionary pack. Sorry. How about over here?
Me again.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
And what is your name? When you come up to the mic, tell me what your name is, because I just want to know.
Hi, my name's Ryan.
Nice to meet you, Ryan.
So my question was, what goes into selecting what settings we're going to in terms of the roadmap ahead, basically? For example, one of the things in March of the Machines we got was a lot of drag synergies. And so, there we go. I thought we were Tarkir this year or something, but going next year. And on a personal note, Amonkhet, which feels like yesterday, but surprisingly was 7 years ago.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
Wow.
It's when so, yep. In OTJ, we had desert synergies, so was there thoughts of conversations that go on of hey, we had a lot of this core identity of deserts in Amonkhet, but we're also doing it in OTJ. Do we need to have that conversation about Amonkhet back?
Yeah, wow, really great question. Okay, so first of all, your question of what goes into planning Magic sets, a lot. That's the simple answer. So we look ahead many years in advance, right? We've talked all the way through the late 2020s as to what the settings might be. And one thing we do is once we figure out the settings, and there's a lot of things we like to balance, right? Making sure we hit a good mix of different kinds of worlds, different mechanical themes. But once we kind of figure that out, we start seeding cards for them. Like before Bloomborough, how many of you enjoyed Bloomborough? All right, awesome.
Great set.
You might have noticed a few otters and a few more rats showing up in the sets beforehand to help seed some things for Bloomborough. And we do this for a few reasons. One, when the set comes out, those things already exist out there. You already have some in your collection, so you can grab a few otters from recent years to go put in your decks. And two, by spreading it out across years for our standard environment, it means that not all the cards rotate at exactly the same time. Right? So when, if there was a strong otter in the year before Bloomborough, for example, well then that might rotate out at a different time from Bloomborough, which means that deck becomes different or maybe a little weaker or something like that. It kind of makes things feel like they're always changing in standard. So that's one of the ways we see it in. So, for example, let's say, I don't know, when we go to Tarkir later this year, there might be some dragons, could be.
Who can say?
Yeah, who can say? Then some of those dragon synergies would make sense, right? And similarly, if we seeded the desert somewhere and we did the deserts in an upcoming set, that could make some sense too. So we like seeding those synergies. But the other thing I'll call out is with the growth of Commander, Commander is so huge now, it's all cards are relevant at all times forever. And so sometimes it's nice to just give a throwback to something players loved, right? Like when are you going to get more deserts for your favorite desert Commander deck? Well, hey, you could have deserts in Thunder Junction, so let's make some here for those folks, right? I'm not saying we're just going to start adding snow onto cards for no reason, but there is a balance to be able to do there. So I love creature type references or good subtypes where we can, or even we've started at Rare doing some more one-off mechanics, right? Oh, this is the one card with this mechanic in the set. There's an old throwback mechanic to give you something additional to play with. So kind of when we plan out the mini-year arcs, we think about what could tap into each other's settings. So it is all kind of one big, consistent, constantly evolving design discussion. So, awesome question. Thank you very much.
Very smart question. Here, you get a smart question pack. Oh, gosh,
All right, let's
one
go
of
over
these
here.
days I'm going to
So
be
colorless Omnath when?
Colorless who?
Omnath?
Oh, colorless Omnath. Yeah, we got to go all the way back to the beginning, Right over here.
Hi, guys. My name is Abton. I have a question for Gavin. It is also related to power creep and complexity creep. I know that there were a lot of new legendary creatures in Foundation's Jumpstart. I was curious, how do you go about designing new and innovative and interesting possible commander cards without getting so complicated that they turn off new players?
Yeah, this is a really great question. Okay, so let's dial the clock back a little bit. So Commander is just starting, or not just starting, but we started making Commander products right back in 2011, and then over the years we made more and more Commander products, and they have become more and more popular, and Commander has grown tons and tons as a format. And there's a time where we're like, well, we don't really know what to do. Like, I mean, it's just so popular. We'll just keep making awesome Commanders. Let's keep making them, and let's make them just cards you want to play with because people are going to love them if they're just like, really appealing to everybody. And what we've learned is it's way more fun to make Commanders that have more of a niche strategy around them as opposed to do everything. So I'll give you a card that I hate. A card that I hate is Tulane Teller of Tales. If I could incinerate it, I would. And the reason why, sorry any Tulane fans out there, and the reason why is it's just so generically strong. So many Bant Commanders are pushed out because, and to be clear, I'm partially responsible for Tulane Teller of Tales, okay? But so many Bant Commanders are pushed out because you're like, yeah, I could play this really cool, unique Bant Commander, but what if I just drew a card and played a land every time I played a creature instead, And it's like very hard to compete with that. So a lot of the legends we're making today try and do a little more of a niche strategy. Like, what is a unique thing you've never been able to build around before? I think about, what's his name? The Sapperling commander that's in Jumpstart.
Oh, Shrufus.
Yeah,
Shrufus Sproutsire.
Super fun card.
Love that guy.
You got to build a Sapperling deck to make it work, right? There's the crab that cares, the blue crab. Yeah, that one that cares about toughness greater than power. Like, it's just a very unique design stuff that you haven't had in those color combinations. Additionally, we can take popular deck niches and rotate them around to be in different color pairs than normal, right? So the blue Toughness Matters card is a great example. You've seen that in Obzon before, but what about if it's in blue this time around, right? So it gives you something new to build with. Now, with finding those niches, it does occasionally mean that complexity creeps up a little bit because there's more words on the cards because you're like, well, we have to describe what this thing is. This is the commander that cares about both rolling dice and elephants. Okay, well, I got to write about those things on the card somewhere.
The people have been asking, Gavin.
Yeah, coming soon to a set near you. But overall, complexity is a thing that we have been thinking a lot about. You'll see that in Foundations, for example, we really tried to make it a great entry place for Magic. And as we've been mapping out our sets and our Commander products, we've been trying to be really mindful of it going forward. Now, it takes years and years for some of that stuff to show up, but I'm excited for you to see the next couple years of Magic, and then ask me the question again, and we can talk more.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, here's your pack for you. Thank you so much, friend.
All right, let's go right over here.
Hi, my name is Matt. I actually have a question that's related to two kind of bigger announcements that happened recently. First, your appointed position of the Commander Rules Committee, and also the change of, well, not so much change, but the announcement that the Universe Beyond sets are going to be standard. And we've seen some of the, like the Warhammer and the Doctor Who themed ones be specifically pointed towards Commander. How does that design look like in one of the first ones we're seeing, Final Fantasy? Like, what was the mindset going into this, that we have to make sure that this is, balanced for standard?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I will. There's plenty to discuss here. So I'll start with the second question a little bit. So yeah, Universes Beyond is going to be standard legal now, or at least the ones that are coming out in our mainline sets each year. We've known this. We've tested the sets for that. Like Final Fantasy, we played in standard and play tested it. So I'm really excited for you to all see what's going on there. But what I really think about is like every set is kind of for everybody in a lot of ways, right? Like when a new set comes out, if you're a standard player, you should get excited. If you're a commander player, you should get excited. You can imagine Final Fantasy will have legends in it. You can build decks around, right? And there's still a lot of really exciting cards in all of our sets that will appeal to a really wide audience. So just, Warhammer and Fallout were fantastic products, and they were specifically commander deck size products. There's a lot of cards from there that will go in your commander decks. And in our run of sets for next year, I predict that all the sets will have plenty of great cards for commander and a great draft format and be great for standard and so on. So you have to kind of wait and check it out. One's going to ask me next year after the set is out, and I'll tell you more about how it all came to be. But there's a lot of fun stories there, and I'm really excited for you to all see it. In terms of the commander stuff, yes, the Commander Rules Committee gave Wizards control of the format recently. We're still working very closely with our community group. Me and many other folks are talking about all kinds of stuff right now. But it's really a big honor, and Sheldon Menry is a very close and good friend of mine, and being able to work on this now really means a lot to me. And the Commander format is such an instrumental part of so many people's lives, and we want to be really, really careful with it. So I think we all take it as a big duty and something we really care about inside.
Yeah,
inside
really
Wizards.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So the other big thing that we've been saying a lot is we don't need to do anything super fast. Like Commander is a format that you all enjoy playing at home. It's great. It's wonderful. We'll talk about more with everybody when it's time. But Commander is great. We don't need to make huge sweeping changes. We don't intend to do that at all. So. Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much for your question, all right?
Thank you, friend. Here's your pack.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Max. Are there any mechanics that you or the design team has worked on that you've really wanted to work and just hasn't?
Oh, so many. The great news is, as the lead designer of both Mystery Booster sets, I gotta make them all weird playtest cards.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you about 3 weird mechanics that I've made that will never see the light of day. And I just thought of them off the top of my head. I'm sure I could think of hundreds more. So the first one, if you played Mystery Booster at any point, is Gunk. Gunk are these cards that shuffle into your opponent's library and have no ability but cycling 4. So they gunk up their hand, right? So they draw them at some point, and it's like, oh no, I gotta spend time cycling this away. It is logistically unfeasible for any kind of Magic, really. But I really enjoy them in Mystery Booster, so that's one. At one point in Ixalan, we were trying to figure out a mechanic for pirates. What would make you feel like you're finding treasure? And I had the idea of Booster Tutor the Mechanic, where you would open up a booster pack because you're like finding your treasure in the booster pack that you get.
I love it.
We thought it'd be really fun, but obviously that's unfeasible for a bunch of other reasons. I thought you'd make special treasure boosters that you got with like your draft box, and you would open them while you were drafting. You'd anyway, didn't work. And then those are 2, and then which I have so many good third ones in my head right now that I could tell you about. I guess the third one I'll talk about is I'm a big fan of, or have been at many points in time, interested in side decks. Like, what is something that you could bring to the table along with the rest of your stuff going on that was more competitive focused than, say, contraptions or attractions or anything like that, which I was, which I didn't really touch at all. But I think I've kind of cooled on that idea, and I'm not as hot on it now, but I'm still like, every now and then, like, ooh, what about a side deck here? So, yeah, but I doubt that'll be anything that comes out anytime soon. Oh, triple face cards, another one. You got to break the rules of physics, but it is really cool if you can do that. Yeah. We have a partner game, Duel Masters, we actually make in the US and produce in Japan. And they've actually cracked the triple face card problem. They have these cards that are like kind of fold out, and you have like one side, and then you flip it over and it's 2 sides. You unfold it again on the 3rd side. The problem is you can tell what they are in sleeves. So, you use, wait for it, a side deck for them. So I'm just saying,
All right.
if you want triple face cards, you gotta get on the side deck plan. So those are 3 weird mechanics that you'll probably never see. But if you can break the rules of physics, please call me. Tell me more.
Great question. Here you
Thank
go,
you.
friend. Hey, high five shirt. I love it.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left, so we'll probably have to take 2 more questions is my guess, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's go.
Hi, yep. So my name's Autumn, and I wanted to ask, I was playing Draft for Draft yesterday, and I noticed inconsistency where some cards would have word on it and no description of what the ability is, and others would have a quip and full description like this is what you do with that ability. How do you decide what cards to put the description of the ability on? Because I know it's very different from set to set.
Yeah, amazing question. So when you look at reminder text for Magic, which is what kind of describes the abilities, we have an amazing editing team and templating team that talks about this a lot and talks about design, talks about this with us on design a lot. And a few things factor into account here. The first is the rarity of the card. For example, if a card is a mythic rare, you're way less likely to see it than if it's a common. So like, okay, once you learn what a quip is, you don't need the reminder text further, but if it's your first time ever seeing a quip, well, you gotta know what it is. So by putting it on more commons and skewing basically in rarity where you see the reminder text, that helps out a great deal. So we really, especially at common, try and do reminder text on things that don't show up as often when we can, like in new mechanics especially. The other thing is in Foundations in particular, we tried to do more reminder text in general because a lot of players are coming into the game for the very first time. On mythic rares, or rares often, we will drop the reminder text because it's, well, sometimes we need more space for rules text, whoops. But also sometimes it's like, okay, would you rather have reminder text or flavor text on this? And it's like, well, they probably know what a quip is by the time they're seeing a rare, so let's put flavor text on it instead. So that's kind of what goes into that decision. It is both highly scientific and a little vibes-based. But our editing team is phenomenal, and they do a great job with it and talking with us. One other fun fact I'll give this on this question is in Commander decks, or any kind of pre-con environment, we can know what you're all going to see together, right? So like if you're playing a Commander deck and your Commander has the reminder text for a mechanic on it, we know that the other cards in that deck don't necessarily need the reminder text because your Commander will already tell you what that ability does. So we can do some stuff like that to make sure that you know what it is. Jump starts a similar way, and so on and so forth. So great question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do one here, and maybe we'll get a second one. We'll see. But yeah,
This is
let's
a
go over here.
This is a quick one. And I'm Robert again.
Hi, Robert.
Nice to see you. So out of the new.
Who's making the popcorn?
Okay. Out of the new cards and foundations, what was the first card developed? What was the last card developed? And which card was the hardest to develop or had the most contentious process to finalize?
Yeah, so the first two are really tough questions to answer because design doesn't really work on like a linear spectrum, as you say. Like if you make a bunch of cards all at the same time, or you pull a reprint into the set, or a card changes 25 times from release to coming out, it's like, well, was that really the first card? You know, it's like the ship of Theseus or whatever, right? So the first and last are really hard to identify because also the last cards that you add or change, well, it might happen all together at the very same time. But the hardest to develop, the answer to that is usually planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are really hard to get right. There's so many knobs on them, and as you've seen with cards like Oko or Jace the Mind Sculptor, the margin can be very narrow on what makes them stronger. Oko, I guess, is more than a little narrow, but you know, it can be very narrow. And so we have to be very careful with them. So planeswalkers often get the most testing, the most rigor, the most additional work put into them, and all the new ones in Foundations, I know we put a ton of work into, especially Chandra. Chandra was such a big focus in the set. We wanted to make that high rarity Chandra really pop. So
Great.
All right, we have 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's all. All right, quick question. Let's do it.
Hey there, I'm Jared. I'm back again. As a big Pauper fan, I just want to know what determines downshifts, because I won't lie, there were not that many downshifts in Foundation that excited me for Pauper.
Yeah, so I mean, I love the Pauper format. I love when cards get downshifted in like a master set or something like that. It's really fun to have new toys to play with. But Foundations, I think, is like about creating a really strong baseline for players. It's about, hey, here's what you can come to expect in your formats. This card, power, is about a common. This card's power is about an uncommon, and so on and so forth. Or these kind of effects are common and uncommon. So Foundations doesn't have as many rarity shifts as, say, a master set, which is trying to create a more powerful environment and downshifting cards to common. So yes, not a ton of downshifts in Foundations, but don't worry, plenty of sets in the future will have awesome commons for Pauper. So stay tuned is what I'll say there. All right, we have 38 seconds on the clock.
38 seconds, here, friend.
Oh, we're going to do another one. All right, yeah, let's do it. Go ahead. Okay, no, there we go. All right, perfect. That's what I thought. All right, well, thank you all so much for coming out today. It has been a fantastic panel.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful having a look through Foundations, hearing some of Gavin's stories, and thank you so much for indulging me in playing Match Game with me, everybody. That was so much fun. Gavin and I have an event today coming up at 4 p.m. If you want to come over to the Magic area, we're playing Sealed and Two-Headed Giant, and we're doing some fun stuff that I'm not going to say too much about, but if you aren't on social media, you saw some of the pictures yesterday, that we throw some wackiness into there as well. We're also doing that event Sunday at noon. So if you want to come out and play some Magic in a wacky and fun way and hang out with me and Gavin some more, that's where we'll be today and tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming out once again. Give it up for Magic the Gathering!